Hi, it's Mrs. Ritberg here, talking to you today about multiplying decimal numbers. We're starting off today with a word problem. So, a male leopard seal is measured and has a length of 2.8 meters, or 2 8/10 meters. A male elephant seal is about 1.5 times as long, 1.5 times as long. What length is the male elephant seal? So hopefully you read that problem and said, aha, I have to multiply 1.5 times 2.8. All right, so there are really two ways to think about these types of problems when we're multiplying decimals. One way is to use place value. So here step one is multiply as with whole numbers. We're looking at the number 1.5 times 2.8, but I'm actually going to write out 2815. I'm going to write it without the decimals there. I'm going to pretend that the decimals aren't there. I might actually keep those decimal points there. But in my mind, I'm going to just be doing 28 times 15. This is me. And I'm thinking, it would be easier to do this as just a regular whole number problem. So 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. Okay, I'm going to go fairly quickly through these steps. 1 times 8 is 8, 1 times 2 is 2, and then I'm going to add those numbers up. 0, 12, 4. All right, I've got my answer, 420. But I know that 420 doesn't really make sense as an answer here. So I'm going to look back up here. Here is 2.8. There is one number that comes after the decimal, one digit. In this number, there's also one digit that comes after the decimal place. So that's 1, 2 total numbers that come after the decimal. So in my answer, I'm also going to have 1, 2 spaces after the decimal, and then that is where my decimal point has to go. Since there is 1 here, 2 here, there's 1, 2 in the answer as well, giving me the answer 4.20 or 4 20 or I can simply write this as 4 2/10. All right. What about another way? The other way, sorry about that, is to use estimation. And I know estimation always seems like the thing that everyone wants to avoid, but I'm telling you here, it sort of makes sense. Step 1, it says, is to estimate. I'm actually going to change that. I'm going to say, let's move that aside. Let's do steps 2 and 3 first, and come back to step 1 at the end. We're going to switch places. So steps 2 and 3 are just like before. Multiply as with whole numbers, and then we're going to place the decimal point. But here we're going to use the estimate to place the decimal point as opposed to using place value. So if I'm doing the problem 3.12 times 7.8, I'm going to really be simplifying it when I'm solving it out by removing those decimal points and pretending I'm just using the whole numbers. So 8 times 2 is 16. Okay, 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 8 times 3 is 24. 8, 16, 24. That's right. Okay. Next place, I'm going to skip one place here. I could put a 0 there because I'm using a 7, which is in the tens place. 7 times 2 is 14. I'm going to keep that same one there. 7 plus 1 is 8. 7 times 3 is 21. Okay. Add these up. 6, 3, 13, 12, 13 again, 4, and 2. Awesome. Now, I know that I've done all of my math. I hope I've done it all correctly. I can go back and check later, but in the meantime, I'm going to think about my decimal. I wasn't really doing 312. I was using 3.12. And this number isn't really 78. This is really 7 8/10. So it doesn't make any sense for my answer to be 24,336. And this is where my estimates come in. 3 12/100ths. I'm going to round. I'm going to say that's really close to 3. Just going to simplify it. It's close to the whole number 3. And 7 8/10 is basically the number 8. So now I can think much easier. The answer should be about 8 times 3, 8, 16, 20. The answer should be about 24. So I can look at this right away and know it doesn't make sense for my decimal to go here, for my answer to be 2 and something. It really only makes sense for it to go here. It wouldn't make sense for my answer to be 243, for it to be 2,400, or for it to be 24,000. The only reasonable place for it to go would be here. If I want to, I can double check using the other strategy that we used before, the place value one, which is to say that up here I'm going to see there's 1, 2 numbers before the decimal point, and then 1 here, so altogether it's 1, 2, 3. So in my answer, since there are 3 decimal places in the problem, there have to be 3 decimal places in the answer. 1, 2, 2, 3. And that is correct. So my answer is 24 336 thousandths. So let's try some examples. In these ones, the multiplication has already been done for us, and we just have to place the decimal point in the product. So 3 62/100ths times 1 4/10 is equal to, well, when you multiply the whole numbers, it comes out to 5068. 5,068, but that is not clearly the answer to this problem. So think, 100th is being multiplied by a 10th. Okay. Where do you think the decimal goes in this number? Where does the decimal point go? All right, let's check. In the problem, we've got 1, 2, 3 digits after the decimal point. So, of course, in the answer, there also have to be 3. The decimal point should go between the 5 and the 0. Excellent. What about question number 2? 6 8/10 times 1 2/10. Where does the decimal go in the answer, which is 816? Is it 816, 8.16, 81.6? Let's see. This is about 7 times about 1, if we just round them. So the answer should be just a 1-digit number. It should be about 8. And then some numbers after the decimal point. And we can check 1, 2, 1, 2. Decimal point goes between the 8 and the 1. Now, these problems can get ever so slightly trickier if we add zeros into them. So in this problem, 0.4 times 0.2, 4/10 minus 2/10 is a great example. We set it up just like we have been before, 0.2 times 0.4. We think about multiplying them without the decimal points. So this is what we're thinking about. And 4 times 2 is just 8. Marvelous. But then we're left at this funny question. Here we've got one place value after the decimal point. Here we've got another decimal place value after the decimal point. That's 2 place values that should go after the decimal point. But I only have one number here. So what do? I want it to really be 1, 2 places over, but I don't have another thing there, another number there. Well, it turns out I can fill one in, and that number is our hero 0. And we have to put that 0 there, and that 0 has meaning and importance because it comes after this decimal. The answer to this problem is actually 0.08, or even 0.08, or 8 hundredths. Let's look at another example. Multiply 0.2 times 30 cents. Now, it's not 2 times 30 cents. 30 cents times 2 would just be 60 cents. But this is 0.2, 2 tenths. So, different situation. I'm going to start with, sorry about that. I'm going to start with 0.30 times 0.2. I've put the longer number on the top and the shorter number on the bottom. That's easier for me when I multiply. And then I'm going to go through these steps. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 0 is 0. I don't even put anything there. That 0 is just really a placeholder for me so I don't lose track that this is my decimal point. I don't forget that. The next line has a 0 in it. That's just going to be a bunch of zeros, so I'm not even going to bother with that. I'm done with my multiplying now. Next thing I have to do is look at where the decimal goes. So here I've got in my first number 1, 2 place values, and then a third place value. So in my problem there are 3 place values. In my answer there also have to be 3 place values after the decimal point. 1, 2, 3. This is where my decimal goes, and I fill in that blank spot with a 0. The answer to this problem is 0.060, or 0 and 60 thousandths, or since we know that this problem was about money, we could say that this is 0 and 6 cents is my answer there. Before we go, let's try 2 quick examples. In this problem, we see 0.05 times 0.8. I've already put that 5 times 8 is equal to 40. So I'm really just asking you now where to place the decimal. What do you think is the product of 5 cents times 0.8, or 8 tenths? Great, since there's 1, 2, 3 places after the decimal in the problem. 1, 2, 3 in the answer. Pat yourself on the back if you got 0.040 or just 0.04. Last one, I know you can do this. 0.09 times 0.7. Again, I already gave you the fact 7 times 9 is equal to 63, so you're just answering where does the decimal go. Is the answer 63? I don't think so. What do you think? Cool. Similar to last time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's our decimal, there's our 0. The answer is 0.063. Thanks for listening. See you next time.